Hi guys. Happy Thursday. We made it to almost the end of another week. Today, so I've tried to explain hate from my perspective, right? We talked about the three, right? Ignorance, fear, privilege. Then we talked a little bit about white fragility. We've talked a lot about Karens and their reactions to things, but that's right there, reactions. That's kind of what I want to talk about with you today. Actual physical reactions we're seeing out there. I think I must see about at least 2 new ones a day popping up on my social media feed of video of somebody losing their marbles on camera. And I found something that I really couldn't ignore anymore because so I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, for example, when I was trying to, get myself together to talk to you today, I had watched about 15 of those videos that I found circulating all over the web. And an alarming amount of them had something in common that I just couldn't ignore. And it's an unfortunate thing, and I'm going to bring it up, so it's going to get awkward. But I find that if they don't do this, they often end up yelling and doing this also. And that's weird. How does your epic rant about not wearing a mask end up coming up and ending up doing this after? What do these two things have in common? Isn't that bizarre? Am I the only one that finds that weird? Like, for example, yesterday when I was watching these videos, I ended up, the last one I watched was a gentleman in Ontario losing his marbles about being asked to wear a mask, and then ends up getting into this after. So why are these two showing up at the party together? What's that about? So, being true Shauna, I had to find that out. Well, I had to make it make sense for me, because I gotta say, as I've said to you before, it's kind of a survival skill. Plus, I need to understand evil behavior from my perspective in order to sleep. It's a thing for me. I have to make sense of why you would completely risk your job, your friendships, and I've said this before, in order to get your nastiness out. I have to make sense of it. So I'm not talking about the hate today. I'm talking about the actual physical reactions that we're seeing. And this is how I make it make sense. So basically we're seeing people lose their marbles. A jar of marbles. This is how I make it make sense to me. This glass jar represents the mind of the people that lose their minds online. Let's call them, we call them the Karens, but let's call them the world of Karen, the Karens, the Ken and the Karens. I don't know, whatever. Let's call them that. This is their mind already. It's rigid. There's really not room for flexibility. There's actually zero. And this is already full. What's in here? Day-to-day life, job, kids, career, car payment, insurance. The regular stuff is already in here. Now, those of us in a marginalized group or people that have been through traumatic experiences, allies, our containers don't look like this. They have kind of a flexibility, let's say. There's spandex. So when extra things come to us, we can actually fit them in because we've been just dealing with stuff our whole lives. We've become flexible, so to speak. Unfortunately, Karens have never had the opportunity to become flexible. I'm not saying this to feel sorry for them. I'm just explaining why their jar is so rigid. There's never had to be a time when something inconvenient has had to go into it. Yes, so here comes COVID. Here's Karen. COVID, can't get a haircut. Well, that's a big deal for somebody who's never really had to be inconvenienced. So that's a lot more marbles going into our container. Can't go to our regular lunch at Olive Garden. Yikes! There's a lot happening here. This is becoming overwhelming. Then, Black Lives Matter movement. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. What? Reactions. And that's what we're seeing. We're just losing marbles left, right, and center. We got no flex in our brains. Pretty simply put. And that's why we show up at grocery stores and have an absolute public, racist, selfish meltdown. Because we have no more room in our Karen box for anything extra. That's how I slept last night. That's how I made it make sense to myself last night. One other thing I want to leave you with. I've noticed a lot of the phrase, "this is ridiculous," on, well, just about anything that is being changed to be racially sensitive. So I've actually asked the question under 3 different people's comment of "this is getting ridiculous." And the question that I posed was, what exactly is getting ridiculous? Please explain. I've received no explanation. Do you want to know why? Because you cannot answer that question without sounding like an awful, horrible, racist person. Because what you're actually saying by saying this is ridiculous is, get back into your lane. We are quite happy with the status quo of systematic racism, and I have absolutely no interest in you gaining any more momentum on this ride. I'll let you know if I actually get a response, but I know for a fact I'm not going to. The weird thing is, everybody knows it when you write "this is getting ridiculous." So stop writing "this is getting ridiculous," because what's ridiculous is that your racism is showing. Tuck it back in. I have to laugh sometimes or I'm going to end up crying all the time, and I cry too much. Take care of yourself if you are in a marginalized group, because we're all in this together, and this is crazy times. This is just crazy times. But just remember that the people that you're seeing on these videos that are legit losing their marbles, there's not a lot going on here. It's just a rigid system. I don't know if that helps you, it makes you feel better, but there's nothing behind what they're saying. It's just all awful nonsense that comes from the mouth of a person who finds wearing a mask to a store too overwhelming. I guess the good thing that we can take from this is you're showing who you are right there, clear as day. Catch you guys on the flip side.